Hey everybody, it's your friend James Shaw. Trust you're doing all right. Thanks so much for joining us. And we're doing what I like to do every Wednesday, talking to amazing people who are doing amazing things and talking about important issues here inside Pivot Shift Ahead. And as many of you know, it is June. That's a month we celebrate Pride. And we're going to honor it and celebrate it and talk about it inside Pivot Shift Ahead. And to do that, I've got my friend Dave with me. Dave, you want to introduce yourself to everybody, tell you who you are and a little bit about you and where you're from and your business and stuff like that?
Sure. I'm Dave Gervase. I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I've been with KW since 2006. I've had a team. I've been a solo agent. I've been an assistant team leader. I'm a market center investor. So I've done a lot of real estate things. In the past couple of years, I took up an advocacy. I call myself the accidental advocate. I never saw this as part of my life, but it has become the major part of my life. And I served last year as the president of the LGBTQ Real Estate Alliance. That is the diversity segment for the LGBTQ community that's recognized by NAR, much like ARIA, NAREP, and NAREB are for the other communities. So the four of us work together in lockstep for housing issues and non-discrimination with NAR.
Well, I love it. Thank you for all you do. And you and I have been in Keller Williams almost the same amount of time. I joined in 05, you joined in 06. We have seen, this is the way I kind of look at Keller Williams as we talk about this. We have seen this company come a very long way.
Yes.
In the time that you and I have both been here when it comes to being LGBTQ friendly and supportive. And we both live in Florida. There's a long way to go. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. How far we've come and where we need to go, because in some areas we're moving forward, in some areas we're moving backward, and yet the more diverse our communities can be and we can be in our business, the better off our business is and the more people we can support. So I want to talk about two things to start with, and that is how far we've come, because certainly there was a time that the LGBTQ community inside of Keller Williams was secret and behind the scenes and just kind of existed. And now there's definitely a welcoming space for it with the Rainbow Network. Can you touch on the Rainbow Network and what it does to support that community?
Sure. So first of all, I was part of the leadership of the Rainbow Network in the past. And now there's been some great emerging leaders who have taken on, the whole thing started. I think the first Rainbow event I went to is like 2006, 2007 in Las Vegas. And it was a couple of guys with a card table sitting in the hallway with a rainbow flag trying to find other people. And that's kind of how it started. I mean, it was like 40 people, then 50 people, then, now it's something like 2,500 members of the Rainbow Network. It could be even more. It was behind the scenes. It was covert. We didn't think that the company really wanted to have anything to do with this because of the signs we were getting. Over the years, that changed. I really think that the Pulse shooting, the Pulse massacre, was a huge pivot for recognition. The company put out a statement about it, but didn't say the word gay. And we approached the company and they rewrote the statement. And that kind of opened a dialogue for recognition. And as we've moved forward, and it's a shame that it takes tragedies to see movement, but after George and bringing Julia on as for diversity and her creating communities, it's really gone a long way. So the Rainbow Network within Keller Williams is strictly for LGBT people. The reason being there may be people who are not comfortable sharing their truths yet. So we wanted to create a safe space. So as much as we love our allies, as far as the Rainbow Network, it is just exclusively LGBT. But it's a safe space to share ideas. And it really took on a new life during the pandemic, where we started twice weekly calls, Zoom calls, just to get together and share ideas and come up with strategies where we could survive the pandemic in our businesses. The calls have gone to once a week. It's a Wednesday at noon call. 2 of them a month are usually planned out with a topic, and 2 of them are really organic and people helping each other out and helping grow. It's also the largest referral network in the real estate industry. More business is done peer-to-peer in the Rainbow Network than anywhere else.
Yeah, it's been amazing to watch. I was invited to participate in one of the calls one time as a guest. The group is an amazing group, and it's neat to see that Keller Williams has done that. And in addition to that, Keller Williams is doing some stuff to try to support the LGBTQ buyer and seller community. Dave, give us some perspective that some people won't have, because discrimination inside of housing has been something that has been an issue since we started selling real estate in the United States. And this is a community that has been impacted for a period of time. Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that LGBTQ might experience when it comes to just even participating in owning a home.
So, this just like anything, you don't know what you don't know. The home ownership rate in the LGBTQ community is about 20% lower than it is housing in general, home ownership in general. And that could be a few reasons. Number one, our community does tend to gather in larger cities where it's more expensive to own a home. That's part of it. But there's another part of it. There's the discrimination or perceived discrimination in lending, in working with agents, particularly our trans community right now, who are so under attack from so many different directions. You have to apply for a loan in a name that may not suit how you appear. And there are challenges with getting the correct records. So that's another thing. There were 29 states that had no protection for LGBT people in housing. Now there's 30. Alaska just rolled theirs back in May. So there's a lot of work to do in our community. Even personally, about 25, 26 years ago, my now husband, was up for a job in San Antonio. And we were out looking at houses, and we walked in an open house, and the first thing the guy said is, "Where's your wives?" That's some of that unconscious bias coming out. So it's things that we have to work on. All of the national organizations, whether it be the Alliance, or NAREB, or NAREP, or ARIA, put out a state of home ownership for our communities. I urge you to go online to the different communities and read the housing reports, so you can see where housing is and how you can help both your business and the communities get into home ownership.
And there's multiple organizations that we can learn about, support, and align with to help these communities. One lives inside of Keller Williams that I want you to share with everybody. This is the LGBT Housing Initiative. It's new to me. I heard about it at family reunion for the first time. Can you tell us about it, Dave?
I'm really, really proud of this, and I can't take the credit for it. The brainchild was Mike Zinicola out of Cleveland, Ohio. The program works like Homes for Heroes, where the agent can use this for marketing and find clients who are LGBT to get into a house, and gives a referral fee to the initiative. The initiative then goes after closing, and 20% goes back to the client who closed, and they can use it to replace their 401k money. They could use it to buy a sofa, whatever they needed to do to aid them in their housing. And then 5% goes into what I call the kitty. Otherwise, a lot of other agents just tithe to the kitty and give a percentage of their commission. I'm one of those people who do that as well. What we do with the money in the kitty is fund organizations that get LGBTQ kids off the street. I can't imagine throwing a child away. I can't imagine throwing anyone in my life away. But there are so many people who come out and unfortunately become homeless. Mike got this idea because he heard of a story in Dallas of a young man. I'm not going to get this exactly correct, but a young man came out and his family kicked him out of the house. So he went to live with his boyfriend, and his boyfriend broke up with him. So he knocked on the door of the local charity that houses kids who need help. And they said, "We don't have a bed until Thursday. Come back on Thursday." And by Tuesday, he had killed himself. Mm. That never needs to happen again.
Right.
So we are able to fund organizations in just over 2 years. we have funded over $150,000 to charities who help unhoused kids. We've also started a scholarship in the name of Jay Cermak, who was a trainer with Keller Williams, for a scholarship to help the people who are within the program so they can get in school. We are working on annuitizing it so we can have 2 4-year scholarships going at all times.
I can't imagine you and I have talked about this before. I go, what is a straight white guy supposed to do to be able to help these communities, right? And you talk about, being an accomplice, not just an ally, but being an accomplice. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I cannot imagine what it would be like for someone who takes up the energy and that it takes to be able to go to your parents and share with them who you are, and then go through that the answer is get out. And it seems, I don't know, I'm speechless about it. And yet it happens, yes, every day.
It happens every day. And I look at it from 2 points of view. I had a great coming out with my family. My husband, not so much. And I look at it this way, when you're admitting who you are to yourself and then sharing your truth with other people, you are having time to process it. You're giving the news to someone else and they're processing it immediately. So I always say that you have to have some grace when you're delivering the news. But if the news is met with hostility and hate, you need to remove yourself, because there's another family that's going to love you. And hopefully you can mend that in the future. But, and I'm saying this to anyone who's out there who may experience this with their children. If this happens in your family, the only thing you have to do is say, I love you, and everything's okay. Because what you say in that moment is what that child is going to remember for the rest of their lives. And it doesn't matter if that child is 15, 20, or 35.
Yep. It seems to that, and then the perspective of understanding that the parent or whomever you told is responding in the moment, where, Dave, you're saying in your case you had years to kind of figure this out and come to terms, not come to terms is not the right word, but to be able to go through the process of how you want to share this with people who are important to you. And yet in that moment, someone's kind of figuring it out. So maybe we give some grace on both sides of this is good advice. And if you're on the receiving end, even if you don't know what to say, just to say, I love you, I care about you, and then take some time to pause and think and come back is good advice. If somebody wants to support the LGBT housing initiative, how can they do that?
Well, the housing initiative, you can go to LGBT. I'm getting all of my organizations mixed up, so let me make sure I say it right. LGBThousingInitiative.com. It is a .com. And right on there, there's a button you can click and say donate, and donate to the organization. We are having a fundraising June. Our goal is to raise $25,000 in June, so that we can help fund more organizations as fast as possible. Also, if you know of an organization that houses unhoused LGBTQ youth, let us know. We are looking for more people to help.
That's great. Okay, now in addition to that, NAR has the LGBTQ Real Estate Housing Alliance.
So it's not it is not a part of NAR.
Okay.
It is recognized by NAR. It
okay,
is
got it.
one organization. We actually, there was this pandemic, so why not get together and start a nonprofit? What could happen? We had nothing else to do. So what happened? There was a previous organization, but it's not a 501c3. So we wanted to start a 501c3 or a 501c6 so we could advocate for our community and fight housing discrimination, quite frankly. So the 3 pillars of the alliance, the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance, are to educate, advocate, and celebrate. We really work hard to elevate the professionalism in our business through educational seminars. All the chapters are tasked with holding lunch and learns and then 2 social events a year, and then to advocate on our community, on housing in our community, to NAR and anyone else that will listen, including hopefully one day RPAC, and also to celebrate our successes. We had our inaugural conference in Las Vegas. It was like nothing I've ever seen. I was so proud of our team who put it together.
And details on that, realestatealliance.org is the website for that,
realestatealliance.org.
And okay, so NAR recognizes this organization, but not a part of it. So I want to make sure we clear that up. Okay, so I'm glad we've got those, and that's progress, Dave, and I'm sure you're excited about the progress, and it's been enjoyable to watch. And there is so much work to do. There's a lot of data that says that the more inclusive you can make your business, the better off the business is, quite frankly. Like, it's actually a really smart business decision to be a welcoming, inclusive one. How do we do that?
Treat everyone the same. Well, kind of like the code of ethics says, don't discriminate, and spend some time taking Julia's courses and learn about unconscious bias, because you don't know what you don't know. I say that all the time, but spend the time getting to know what you need to know for your business so you are treating everyone correctly. Get involved with your local board. And the reason I say that is there are over 1,000 bills throughout the country right now rolling back or targeting LGBTQ plus folks. And while they may not directly be housing bills, they directly affect how people feel about where they live. Last year, I got a phone call from two guys who I sold a house to the year before in Wilton Manors, Florida, arguably the gayest city in the United States. And one was a school teacher, and after the Don't Say Gay bill passed, the principal said you have to take your family's picture off your desk. They also have a 13-year-old daughter who identifies as a lesbian. They sold their big, beautiful house and moved into a 2-bedroom condo in Los Angeles where they felt safer. And where they felt safer for their daughter. It's unimaginable to me that I had to move a family out of Florida so they could feel safe. And there's so much background buzz noise. Me, my friends, people we know, talking about where can we escape if. It sounds extreme, but it's happening every day. I've studied history. I know what's happened in these cases before, and it's not pretty. So I just found out I'm woke. I just thought I knew history.
Listen, the comments are going to blow up, Dave, if we aren't careful. And my advice, though, is take a step back. If this is something that you get a lot of energy around on either side, take a step back and be curious about the perspective of somebody else before you get wound up. The bottom line, this is my thought, we are all people living our lives and enjoying our families and wanting to celebrate and honor and be part of our communities. And the more welcoming and inclusive we can be in that, the better our communities become and the better our business is. And so let's do that. Yeah.
I agree. I found that, one-on-one conversations are the best things to have. And when we're having our allies join us and just talk in a positive light, but yet defend. If you don't defend when you hear someone saying something, if you're seeing the social media of people in your office discriminating or posting memes that are really kind of offensive, that is absolutely their free speech. But as a realtor, they're held to a code of ethics. So you kind of have to help police and educate people who may be doing that.
Yeah, it's Dave, we both live in a state that has made this a hot issue and a hot topic. And we both live, like we talked about earlier, we both live in very LGBTQ friendly communities. I'm in Pinellas County. This is St. Petersburg is 20 minutes south of me. You're in Miami.
I'm in Fort Lauderdale.
And what, I'm sorry?
Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale. So Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. And the bottom line is these are friendly communities. We have a state that is just, bill after bill that's discrimination. That's the bottom line. How do we support our friends in the LGBTQ community who may feel attacked or less than, or like they've got rights or abilities taken away? How do we not, like we say, just become an ally, but become an accomplice?
Well, again, that's what I'm saying. And I know I border on getting a little too political, but vote, get involved in your community, get involved get involved in the Alliance. The Alliance has chapters in almost every city in Florida. And we're 25% allies. I'd love to see more allies involved so you can get to know people in our community. Look, it's going to help you build your business. It's going to help you with some education. We have a course called the Alliance Certified Ally course, which you can take online and learn more about our community. Learn how to have conversations that you may be afraid to have because you don't know the right things to say. That's a great place to start.
Mm. Well, I love it. I appreciate you being willing to come on and share today. I'm sure we've educated some people. We may have not educated some, or have somebody that might be offended by what we talked about. And yet I hope you know where our heart is. Our heart is making Pivot Shift Ahead one of the most inclusive and caring and welcoming communities that exists, that any person can pop in on any of our calls and feel totally welcome. And I hope that we've done that for some people today. What's just the final thought you'd want to share as we wrap up, Dave?
I think the final thought is that we're in a really interesting time. And so we really need to go back to the golden rule and just treat everyone as you'd want to be treated. Spend time on your business, spend time in your business, get to know other people, and broadening it, because I always say that my community encompasses everybody. And when you look at homeownership rates in other minorities, they're worse. So there are so many ways to broaden your business and really help create generational wealth for people who have not had the opportunity to be there before. So take a look at your business and what you can do to diversify it and change some lives.
Yeah, great perspective. I appreciate it. Okay, so again, if you're interested and curious, the LGBT Housing Initiative, LGBTHousingInitiative.com, LGBTHousingInitiative.com, and then the LGBTQ Real Estate Housing Alliance is realestatealliance.org. And so all the stuff, we got it all in. Dave, thank you so much. Happy Pride. Thanks for sharing with us as well.
Also, if you are a Keller Williams Rainbow Network, kwrainbownetwork.com.
And they meet every week. And again, an amazing group of people. I've had a chance to meet many of them. Dave, thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for watching. I appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.